Hey everybody, welcome to the Chensor Dynasty. My name is James Chen, aka jchensor, your host for the Chensor Dynasty. How's everybody going out there? This is the part of the stream, before I start playing some games on stream, I just talk about some sort of fighting game aspect and I hug and play with my cats. And look how terrified she looks right now. She's like, oh my god, please let me go. Please let me go. But today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about specifically with the new announcement of Street Fighter V Champion Edition, with the announcement of the new V skills coming out and everything, is I really wanted to talk about Ryu from Street Fighter V because this is just one of the areas of... Look, Ryu was good in Season 1, and I don't even know if he was actually one of the best characters in Street Fighter V Season 1. It started out that way before I felt like we really started figuring out how to play the game, because I really feel like he probably was gonna lose power as time went on, even if we hadn't moved away from Season 1. But one of the things that I wanted to oh yeah, there you go, Ultra David agrees with me. Yay, hey, there you go, me and David agreeing on the tiers. That's awesome. Actually, we agree on a lot of tiers, more often than you'd think, so. But the question is that I kind of have is that why is Ryu so bad, right? Like, why can he not play very well? And honestly, a lot of that really just comes down to is because the entire archetype by which Ryu plays, which is the projectile game, has been completely nerfed, right? He just doesn't have the ability to play the projectile game. There's so many ways for characters to blow up projectiles. And so I'm just like, how do we really fix this? How do we make Ryu a strong character again? I mean, the answers are easy, right? In order to make Ryu a strong character again, right? Give him Ibuki's V skill, make a crouching medium kick poke really far, give him better Oki after his knockdowns. You can do all the stuff that you want to do to make him a good character, and he'll end up being a good character like a lot of the other characters in the game. But that's not the part that's interesting to me, right? Yeah, I mean, like, right, you could give him a gun. I mean, he could literally go Hadoupow, and then the guy dies and loses all their life. Like, buffing a character is not the question. The real question that we want to ask ourselves is that, how do you buff Ryu in a way that makes him Ryu? How do we make Ryu strong with a projectile game, right? How do we make it so that he's strong? Now, here's the interesting part of it, right? So a lot of people are going to say it's really hard to make a strong projectile game in Street Fighter V because there's so many ways to erase fireballs. Look at Sagat, right? Some matchups he can definitely play a projectile game, and Sagat is really strong in that department, but a lot of matches he can't really do that. So like if he fights against G, or if he fights against Nash, or he fights against Bison, not saying that those are bad matchups, but and a lot of people will say those are some of his worst matchups, but the problem is, to win those matches, you are no longer playing Sagat. You're playing, Street Fighter V Sagat. You're not playing projectile Sagat. How you actually make projectiles really strong. Now, the interesting thing is, one of the things that a lot of people haven't really mentioned a lot, and that there is a character in the game who has really strong projectiles, who has probably one of the best projectile games in the game, and is very strong with projectiles, right? So I'm curious now, if I say this, who do people think I'm talking about here? Who do people think I'm talking about here that actually has a really strong projectile game? And the answer is a little interesting because so far in the chat I haven't actually seen anybody mention this character yet, but there's a different way projectiles can be strong, and that's a little bit in closer range, and in my opinion that character is Rashid, right? Rashid is clearly one of the strongest characters, and he has this amazing projectile game when he gets you in the corner, right? Being able to cancel into different speeds of projectiles and being able to cancel his projectile into a V skill so that he can just use his fireball and get in on people. Dude, like, if you think about it, Rashid actually has kind of a tremendous projectile game at half screen, right? The biggest weakness is obviously it doesn't go full screen. So really, you know, if you wanted to buff Ryu's fireball game to make him Ryu, right? Maybe you can do it a little differently. Maybe you can do it Street Fighter V style in that he has the ability to, what do you want to call it? Use it more aggressive, right? More offensive kind of based, right? And honestly, the number one thing is just you gotta give him real block strings in the fireball, right? You just gotta do it. And so, like, obviously one of the answers that is not related to the projectile is just making his crouching medium kick hit farther, which everybody wants. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. I don't know why they're so reluctant to give Ryu a better crouching medium kick. I don't know why he can't do fireball in the V trigger like Akuma can. Clearly he should be able to do that. And then also, if you do extend the range of his crouching medium kick, you know, maybe make his fierce fireball even a little faster. Maybe have it, or at least have it start up fast and kind of slow down a little bit. So it's just kind of like this, and then it hits the fireball speed, right? So what you could do is make it so that low forward max range into fireball, since it comes out faster, it'll always be a true block string no matter the range that crouching medium kick hits. So he can use that in a close-up range to just kind of be annoying and poke with. However, on block, because the fireball comes out so fast and it blocks, I mean, what is it right now? What is it right now on block? It's like extreme. It's punishable at the max at the closest range, but I forget exactly by how much. Let's see. Hadouken is -6. Like, Jesus. Why is his Hadouken -6 at point blank range? That's ridiculous, right? So what I would probably do is make it so that low forward fireball is -4. Yeah, I mean, it was worse, but it doesn't need to be that bad. It doesn't need to be that bad, right? So make it -4. Make it -4, so now it's like a Honda jab headbutt or a Lucia burn kick. That if you do crouching medium kick into fireball, and it's always a combo, but if you do tip of low forward into fireball, you're at -4. Most people won't be able to punish you, but it's their turn. So it's a great poking tool, but you're always giving up your turn, right? Maybe even -5 might be okay at that range, because most mid moves that will hit you aren't even 5 frames. There are going to be some characters that are going to be able to punish you with supers like Cammy or something like that, but that's just matchup. You gotta understand that. But low forward fireball at max range should be a true block string, should be -4 or -5. Now, the tricky part here is, this is why I brought up Rashid. This is the factor of why I brought up Rashid, because the whole concept of him canceling moves into the EX whirlwind shot or the heavy whirlwind shot where he sits there and spins forever and throws something, people are getting good at interrupting him for doing it, but you still see it constantly that people are caught off guard, because the Rashid can do it into a faster whirlwind shot, so that if you try to interrupt him, you get hit by the whirlwind shot instead. But if they do the long startup one, then you can hit him. But if he does the long startup one, then he has the ability to roll forward, not kick, and then he's able to attack you. He builds offense off of that, right? So why not do something like that for Ryu? So if you do low forward into light fireball at tip max range, the light fireball now is basically going to be, like, if they're -4 at point blank range, it might actually be a little bit plus now. So if I do low forward tip of range into jab fireball at that range, I'll have thrown the fireball will have to travel a little distance before it hits them because it's slower. Maybe like the fierce fireball, instead of speeding up like this, it actually starts slow and speeds up a little bit. So basically you can go low forward Hadouken and then it hits them, and because it takes a little bit to get going and then it hits them, then you have the ability to, you know, follow behind the fireball as its plus. Then make the medium fireball at tip of low forward into fireball, so that there's only a 2-frame gap in between the low forward and the fireball, right? So now what you have is you have a true block string low forward into fierce fireball, a frame trap low forward into medium fireball so that they can't always option select hitting a button to stop the jab fireball, and then you got the low forward into jab fireball when you feel like you've scared them enough. So now what you're doing is you're creating a Ryu projectile game from kind of close up mid-range, and I think that would actually be kind of really cool, because then he would have the ability to do some stuff, and he still wouldn't have Rashid's V-skill cancel roll forward into plus frames off of EX tornadoes and stuff like that. But I think that would be an interesting way to do it. Plus, if you have the fireballs that have kind of the weird, like, startup speeds and this kind of thing, you might even be able to play a more interesting kind of game that way. That makes too much sense. Speak of the devil. It's funny. You read the first part, you're like, but James, I'm like, okay, what did I do? That makes too much sense. Okay. There you go. But see, I feel like that would be a really kind of cool way to balance Ryu. And then he would be kind of like Lucia is right now. Your whole goal is to play at this range where max range low forward. Even Falk, who has to charge her fireball, but she's got standing medium kick, which reaches further than Ryu's low medium kick, crouching medium kick. Falk's standing medium kick hits into a fireball. Granted, it's a charge fireball, but when you do her fireball, she's +1. Like, she gets to be +1. Meanwhile, Ryu is -6 on his fireball. Like, why? Why? It's just like, it's like they're scared of doing stuff with Ryu that just like a lot of the other characters have. Now, obviously, the other characters don't have some of the tools that Ryu has. So maybe it would make him too powerful, but you know, the other thing that I want to do is just give him ways to juke people with the projectiles to make them a little more effective. Excuse me. One of the things that I've said a while ago, and I know people have probably heard this from me a million times, but one of my ideas was to make it so that Ryu's EX fireball can be charged, right? So you can go Hadouken. So kind of like his V-Trigger 1 fireball, you can charge it. However, the EX fireball, which is chargeable anytime without V-Trigger 1, gains no benefits, doesn't get more plus on block, doesn't do any extra damage. The whole point of it is just to delay the fireball. The whole point of it is just to make it so that the fireball, you can change the timing of it, and for the cost of a meter, and that's pretty expensive. But the reason for that is because so many characters in this game have anti-fireball tools. If you make it so that Ryu can charge his fireball for a very long time as well, maybe even indefinitely, just let him charge it and hold it for as long as he wants to, you can actually really throw people off. So if you're fighting against a Balrog, who basically holding the fireball basically, yeah, just let you hold the fireball. And the reason for that is then basically if you're fighting against a Balrog who wants the V skill through your fireball, you do the EX and you hold it and then let him spin on reaction, and then you let it go, and then you basically can hit him out of the recovery of the spin, right? It's not going to help you against like long range projectile invincible stuff that's just going to hit you in your face. And it's also super weak too, because if you see that Ryu is going to hold the fireball, if you predict it and you jump, Ryu's kind of dead, right? You're going to get a free jump in combo on him, so I don't think it would be too broken to give him something like that. I think that would be something really neat to have, right? Just have a fireball that kind of makes it tricky. The other thing I would really like to see Ryu have, and I don't know how to do this, I don't know what the right way to do it is, but just find a way to make it so that like Guile with the Sonic Blade, he has a way to power up a fireball so that it's not just free for like people to absorb, right? So like if G tries to absorb it, it'll absorb one hit and the second one will hit him or something like that. But I don't know if that's even something that could be done that wouldn't be too good or something like that. So, when you touch, so I think he means if you do a fireball string and someone tries to jump out, but it's not a true block string, they will end out in a flip out state. Oh, you're just talking about like if you hit someone out of the air with a fireball, doesn't knock them down, but makes them stand reset essentially. Or you're talking about you can be able to juggle with the stand jab. Is that what you're talking about, Naleb? But in any case, the thing is, I just really want to see Ryu get more fireballs. I just want Ryu to be a fireball terror again. I've already said for V Trigger 1, the way that I would buff the way that I would buff V Trigger 1 is I would just make it so that when his V Trigger 1 is activated, the only thing that drains his meter is an uppercut. So if he uppercuts, his whole V Trigger goes away. If it hits you deep, it does the Shinsho and does a decent amount of damage. Like if the regular Fierce Uppercut, let me see, Fierce Uppercut is about, let's see here. Fierce Uppercut is, where's the damage information? Is there no damage? Oh, there we go. Is 130 damage. 130 damage for the heavy uppercut and 160 damage for the EX uppercut. So if the Shinsho uppercut that hit you did maybe like 180 damage. I just let it do 180 damage, so it's 20 more than the EX uppercut. That's not like super crazy. But the uppercut will do 180 damage. But if as soon as you uppercut, you lose the entire V-trigger bar. And what happens is that Ryu's fireballs are charged up like they are, and they're a lot faster. So now Ryu can basically play this awesome fireball game against you, and it's scary. But if you ever jump over a fireball and he uppercuts you, he loses that ability, right? So if you're a character who can delay your jump in the air, he might uppercut and hit you with just the non-deep version, so you take piddly damage, but now you've used up his old V skill. Or you can jump at a range where if you kick, he could uppercut your leg, but if you don't kick, it'll miss, so you can bait out the meter that way, etc., etc. Or if you knock him down and he has to do an invincible wake-up uppercut, he's got to spend the whole entire thing, and you got to bait him out. But what happens then is that means when he activates V-Trigger 1, he's got a really, really buff fireball game. And all of a sudden, he's just like really scary with fireballs again. And I think that would be super sick. Like, just find ways to make his fireball good again. I just think that Street Fighter V is not designed for projectiles. However, that doesn't mean there's a way that projectiles can't work in the game. I really do think if you just do it carefully, you can make Ryu work. And honestly, like, that might be all Ryu needs, right? Just that tip of the low forward Fierce Fireball being a true block string, tip of the low forward into medium Fireball leaving a 2-frame gap, and then low tip of the crouching medium kick into light Fireball, maybe being +1 or +2 on block, so that Ryu can then have the opportunity to, you know, follow it and try to apply more pressure and, you know, try to go for a little bit more mix-ups kind of thing like that. But obviously the weaknesses are that low forward Fierce Fireball. If I block it from max range, right? If I block it from max range, what happens then is that, so if I block it from max range, Ryu is negative, like -4. So that means it's my turn, and so Ryu is kind of losing his turn. So why would Ryu's do that? Because they're just hoping to hit you with low forward into Fireball so that you, like if he just catches you standing. It's just a way to keep the opponent on it so that they have to crouch and play careful footsies, because Ryu can nick at you with low forward Fireball if you're not playing good footsies. If he just can walk in and out of you and hit you with low forward Fierce Fireball, he can do tiny bits of damage little by little. It's not going to be rewarded all that much, but then he's safe on block so that he can actually do it. And so, because the problem with it is, if low forward into Fierce Fireball is not a true block string, anytime low forward gets canceled into a Fireball, someone can super through it. Someone can activate the projectile invul thing on it, and that sucks, right? Like, he just doesn't have that option. So Ryu being able to play footsies with low forward Fireball at max range would be nice, but every time it's blocked, he's negative. So that's the downside. Now, because it's a true block string, that means people can always punch buttons afterwards so that they can stop the jab fireball version because it's an option select, so you got to give them the medium one. So that low tip of low forward into medium fireball leaves a 2-frame gap and maybe doesn't even combo. Maybe it doesn't even come. Maybe it leaves a 4-frame gap, and on block it's a 2-frame gap. I mean, on hit, it's a 2-frame gap, so it doesn't combo. The only thing that combos at max range is low forward into fierce fireball. The medium one doesn't, and so that way there's enough room that they could touch a button and hit themselves. If they predict it, they can go through it with the EX and kill you, right? And that's the thing. If they have the meter to have a projectile invul special move, then they can always option select you. But then it forces them to use meter, and so that's fine. So if they decide to use EX scissor kick to go through low forward medium fireball because you're trying to bait them into touching buttons, fine. They're spending meter. That's fine. Let that happen, right? Did you say you want to buff Ryu's low forward range too? Because as is, you can walk more safely without low blocking versus Ryu than most characters. Yeah, David. I definitely want to also buff the range on crouching medium kick. Yeah, just make it long. I don't understand why it has no range. Like I said, Falk's standing medium kick is way further, and it leads into a fireball that's plus on block. I don't understand it. Now, back heavy kick is good, but it has a lot of startup, and it doesn't hit low, so it doesn't keep people honest. Ryu needs a way to be able to play footsies to keep people having to crouch block, so it's harder for them to move. So if you extend the range on the crouching medium kick and have it combo into the fierce fireball at max range, that is going to buff Ryu's footsies up tremendously. And then, like I said, you can do low crouching medium kick into jab fireball if you feel like you've sufficiently trained or scared the opponent enough to not hit a button. Just like Rashid, who does crouching fierce into the EX whirlwind shot. How many times do you see him get away with that? You see Rashid's get away with that all the time. And so do something like that for you. Low forward and jab fireball. Not going to combo on hit. Not going to be a true block string. In fact, there's probably going to be a big enough gap that the opponent could backdash or jump away from it if they wanted to. But if they're not ready for it and the jab fireball comes out and it's too late for them to try to get away from it, they block it, and then Ryu has the time to walk forward and kind of use that as pressure. And that way now Ryu can play a footsie fireball game at mid-range in Street Fighter V, making his projectile game really kind of strong. And I think it would be super cool. I think it would be so fun to play that way. And then he should also be able to fireball in the V trigger. And then, like I said, give him the EX fireball. And honestly, all these things that I've suggested here, if you gave him all of it, he probably would end up almost being maybe too strong. Maybe, I don't know. Like, there's a potential that it could end up being really, really good in the hands of a player like Daigo or Vi or something like that. But the thing about it is, it would be so much fun for Daigo and Ryu to be able to play a projectile footsies game again like they used to do. Because also, if you buff the fierce fireball that way, you can use it really carefully in just neutral, even not off of the crouching medium kick. It's just a really good poke. Having the multiple, like exaggerating the different speeds of the fireballs a little bit, I feel like would really make him so much more interesting in the neutral as well. Not only that, but it's still not an easy thing to do, because if you throw the fireball, you still have the ability to get jumped in on and killed, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. And especially in Street Fighter V, you know, you get jumped in on and like everything can basically go completely dead, right? That's it. You could be dead right there. And so I like kind of giving Ryu this high risk, high reward thing. But as it is, it would make it so that he's not necessarily a strong character from a screen away throwing fireballs. That part hasn't improved greatly. He has one EX, he can use the EX fireball to bait people into doing their fireball projectile, you know, absorb move or whatever like that, and then you can hit them with that, you know, just to throw off their timing and stuff like that, or try to punish people using projectile invincible moves, but that doesn't make him super strong from a screen away. Again, I have no problem with making him super strong from a screen away. I want Ryu to be a great fireball zoner again, but it's very clear that's what they do not want in the game. Every zoner in Street Fighter V is a great mid-range zoner. They're a great zoner from mid-range of the screen. but they are terrible zoners from full screen away. There's almost no character that really zones from a full screen away. Manat, Falk, a lot of these characters are good zoners from mid-screen, not from a full screen away. Clearly that's not what they want. I'm not going to try to make them do something they don't want, but I think that if you design Ryu that way, you can make projectiles very interesting. You can make them a strong footsies tool. You can kind of build Ryu around the projectile so the fireball is still his primary weapon, and at the same time, he's not like a full screen zoner like that. So and again, I don't want any fake Hadoukens. I don't want fake Hadoukens. I think fake Hadoukens is cheesy. I mean, fake version of move is always the easiest way to solve a lot of problems, and I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. Like, unless it's like built for the character, like Viper, right? Like Viper's Seismo was like the whole character archetype was built around the Seismo feint. But, you know, outside of that, I just feel like having feints is kind of an easy way to do things. So, I mean, we already know what the V skill is, so I'm not gonna speculate on what could have been with a better V skill. Obviously, the ideas that I have for Ryu here are 100% not what's gonna happen to Ryu. They're probably gonna buff something like his back heavy kick now will do crush counter damage. Like, it'll crush counter them if you hit him with the second hit only, you know, and you're just like, oh, geez, what are you doing? Like, this is probably not going to happen, but I just feel like there needs to be something more for you. And if you did give him, like, a Guile Sonic Blade into a Fireball, I think it would be too good. I think it would be too good. Yeah, that's actually true, Ultra David. It's basically kind of like that. It has that guard point. And obviously, the quality of Ryu is going to be very dependent on if that new V skill is plus or minus on block. Right? He does the little punch. You block the punch. And if it's -2, then he's going to be much stronger than he was before. If it's -4, then he's going to be awful. Then it's not going to help at all. So it's just going to be the same old thing all over again. I really hope they make it -2. And if it's not -2, make it start up even slower so it can be -2. Like, find a way to making it really good. If you could dash cancel his fireballs, he'd be invincible. He'd be invincible. Like, literally, he'd be invincible. He would need a way to... You would have to consume some form of resource to be able to dash cancel his fireball. Like, if you could only do that on the EX fireball, maybe, but it would be super, super good. Gil's parry, we don't even know, right? Gil's parry could be the exact same thing and just be really, really slow to start up and stuff. We're not even sure about how that works. But thank you, Spike2501, for the subscription. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Wow, 34 months now. Thank you so much for the loyalty right there. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, it's just like one of those things. I mean, I just really want projectiles to be good again in some way. And sure, you know, the way that I've kind of designed the projectiles isn't really so much as a projectile as just a really nice special move. I mean, low forward into Fireball being a hit at max range is basically like Lucia's burn kick, right? It's just basically kind of giving that the same thing, but it still has projectile functioning properties that you could use it at full screen and stuff like that. So, yeah. Tracking fireballs. You want to do Rainbow Edition fireballs? Hadouken! They just have it coming down. You can go Hadou, 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 and then they land on the fireball. You hear Brah! And they just lose 80% of their life. And you see them. It's like this massive slowdown. Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. Well, I mean, the anti-zoning tools aren't even that super good in Street Fighter V. It's just that there's just so few characters that have good zoning, to be honest with you. There's a lot of Tetris events, Darude Boy. There are a lot of Tetris events that are going on here and there. So they're just usually small ones. But if you're talking about CTWC, like really big style one, that won't be until the next Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Yeah, but I really would have wished that they just made Ryu's V-skill a hop kick instead, you know, so that he could go over limbs and stuff like that. So Cammy isn't good. A lot of people have been saying that. A lot of people have been basically saying that Cammy is fine. It's just that the stun nerf is too much, the crouch light punch nerf is too much, and then also Karin is just that much better. Is just that much better. I do think Cammy is fine. I think she's still good in the game. It's just that there's just no reason to play her instead of Karin at this point in time, because Karin does everything Cammy wants to do, but better now. So that's just the situation. But you see it, NuckleDo still plays Cammy like as one of his main characters. He plays her in tournament all the time. She clearly still has the ability to run roughshod over people and is very, very strong. It's just that I feel like Karin is just a better character. So yeah, he played her at North America Regional Finals. He was using her against G. He was playing Cammy against G, which I don't even think is that good of a match. And I know David actually agrees with me on this one, that it's like a 5-5 matchup, right? It's like a 5-5 matchup, but that's what NuckleDo plays against G a lot of times. He literally uses Cammy to fight against G, and he did that a couple of times, so. Oh, anti-zoning tool. Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Okay. I didn't see the apostrophe S, Ice. That's my bad. Oh, man. Yeah, Cammy doesn't really have an anti-zoning tool, but she does. No, actually, her anti-zoning tool is walk speed. Thank you, Darude Boy, for the subscription. You want Oro, Remy, Sea Viper, and Sean in the game right now. Okay. I see you are a Street Fighter 3 fan. I'm still looking for Saddam. I still want Saddam in the game because he's the only alpha character to not have made it back to Street Fighter 4 or 5. So, oh God, Mr. Henry. How much did Ultra David pay you to say that, Mr. Henry? Don't lie, David. Tell me how much you bribed Mr. Henry to say that. Stupid V-skill. Rolento, man. Yeah, so it's not even just that Karin gets Oki and max damage from everything. It's that she doesn't need her V-trigger to get the damage, right? All of her combos are so, like, she can link all of her EXs together in a way that almost nobody else can. And they all do really decent damage. So what happens is that means that Karin basically doesn't need her V-trigger for comebacks like everybody else does, or to basically destroy somebody. So she has an extra tool to use her V-trigger for V-reversal. She's actually the way that I feel like Street Fighter V was meant to be. That the V-trigger wasn't so crucial for every character, right? Because some of the characters basically, like, if they don't V-trigger, they basically lose, right? Like, I feel like Karin is the only character that has that really nice option to be able to say, V-reversal, V-trigger, whatever I feel like it. And I just think that that's really, really strong for her to be able to do damage with meter. And not only that, she doesn't even need to, like, if she has 3 bars, she doesn't even need to critical art you like everybody else. She can spend 1 bar, see if you're about to die, spend another bar, but if you're still far away, spend another bar, and then you die. Right? Like, she can literally, it's so easy for her to just kind of gauge it. But if you die by 2 bars, that's great. A lot of other characters, when you spend 2 bars for combos, like Lucia can definitely do these sick, you know, multi-bar combos and stuff like that. They really don't do that much damage, right? So if, like, Lucia does anything like, EX, like low forward EX burn kick, EX fireball run into up kicks, it's really not a huge amount of damage. It doesn't feel like what Karin does, basically. So that is a confusing sentence there, Namtab. Add Eddie E. E-die. Oh, man. Karin needs a drastic stun and damage nerf. Yeah, I mean, honestly, she should probably just be Cammied. You know, just really nerf her damage and her... Oh, not her damage, necessarily. Just... oh, I see. Actually, make it so that she doesn't die faster, just nerf her damage and stun. Yeah, that would be true. How would I make Cammy less boring? So here's the tricky thing. If I was going to rebalance Cammy in Street Fighter V, I would essentially make her a different character. And that's not good. Like, it's bad because you don't want to ruin what she is to the people who do enjoy her. I would try to make her hooligan a little bit. I would make her hooligan throw grab crouchers. I just would make it grab crouchers. Just force people to crouch block when they see it. You know what I mean? Just like actually put a little fear. Because like it's not even that good. Even if it could grab crouchers, I don't even think it would be that good. I think she would still get blown up most of the time. Just let it grab crouchers. I don't know why they took that away. You know, meanwhile you have Birdie freaking Dolphin Dive, which grabs anybody. Especially the EX one grabs super fast. So... yeah, I want Cammy to be a grappler. That's what she was in ST. She played exactly like she was a fast walking grappler, which is what was cool about her. She was a pixie grappler because she fought you. She couldn't combo from any range. Tip of low forward didn't combo into anything, so she just annoyed you with pokes and footsies to get you to sit still long enough so she can hooligan throw you. That was amazing. Like I just thought Cammy was such a cool design in Super Turbo. And then since then, they've just like completely messed her up. So, yeah, that's true. Karin is only really good when the player is extremely good, and that's pretty fine. I do agree with that, but I do think that she probably needs to be nerfed just a tiny bit. I wouldn't nerf her too much. Like, if you just nerfed her stun output a little bit, that might be enough, and I think that's good. Honestly, I don't feel like she's oppressive. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... I don't... feel like it's the same kind of thing as Rashid, so Ibuki has been untouched. I mean, to be fair, I don't even know if Ibuki is all that broken, to be honest with you. She's got like stupid mix-ups, but that's kind of the way Ibuki's always been in the later Street Fighter games. And so if she kind of remains that way as a character, that's whatever to me. So I'm okay with her. So really, honestly, the only character that I feel like might need to get nerfed a little bit, like I said, a little bit for Karin, a little bit for Rashid, and maybe even ever so slightly for Akuma, but I don't even know if Akuma is that broken, because honestly, the best Akumas out there are all just ridiculous players, right? Takamura, NL, Tokido, these are all like not wallflowers, you know, when it comes to fighting games and stuff like that. So I don't mind it so much. I don't mind it so much. Rival Schools would be cool. I would love to see a Rival Schools character in there, but that would require... Well, I mean, they've already acknowledged Rival Schools. They're in the beach, so... The only thing that's interesting about Karin is that the single hit crouching medium kick confirm, I do think, is a little antithetical to Street Fighter. It's a 17 frame cancel window. Most of them are 15. Good ones are 16. If I'm not mistaken, I may have the numbers a little bit wrong. But, you know, whatever Karin's is N is really good. N-1 is doable, and then N-2 is doable by only the greatest players out there, like PR Rog and K-Brad and stuff like that. But maybe nerfing that cancel window might be okay by 1 frame. By 1 frame, nerfing the cancel window of her crouching medium kick by 1 frame, I think would be cool. I think would be cool, so... yeah, I know a lot of people would be bummed, and it is one of the best opportunities for impressive play in the game. But Street Fighter V is not the game for that kind of impressive play. Because outside of that and like Sako, you know, orbs, I'm not sure if there's really a lot of strong execution kind of stuff in the game. So, you know, I mean, like that's it right there. And that one is like, for example, that one is even more exclusionary than doing awesome combos, because people can learn awesome combos. There are people who will literally never, ever, ever, ever be able to hit confirm Karin's crouching medium kick, no matter how much you practice. There's just some people who are never going to be able to do it. It's not a learnable thing. Even some of the harder combos are very learnable in other fighting games, but I just don't think crouching medium kick confirm is a learnable thing, and so it is a little more exclusionary. It's more exclusionary, and it's more limiting than actually combos. So that's kind of one of the things that kind of bothers me. So you can definitely improve your reaction time, maybe, but I honestly don't think a lot of people can do it, because it's so much more than reaction. At that window, it's almost not a reaction at that point in time. It's like not a reaction at that time. I think it's too small of a window. I really don't think some people can learn it. Honestly, I don't think I could ever learn it. I don't think I personally could ever learn it. I don't think I'll ever get to a point, no matter how hard I practice, so that I can do low forward hit confirm reaction, regardless. So, well, the reason why ice is because it's already happened. That's the whole game right now. It doesn't make sense to me to have a whole game that is entirely about execution barrier lowering, and then just have one character that has an even more exclusionary execution thing that people can't do, that cuts off a greater chunk of players that they can't do it. You know, like, you've already taken away all the other really interesting execution stuff and left behind something that I feel like is way too hard for 90% of the people out there. You know, I like, you can obviously get better at reaction, but you can also obviously get better at combos. And getting better at combos is way easier than getting better at the low forward hit confirm. It's learnable, but I think combos are like 10 times easier learnable, right? I think it's like way more learnable. And so that's what I don't understand, is that hit confirm, I think, is probably one of the hardest execution things to learn in the game. And that's just really odd to me. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able to learn it, because I've sat here for hours practicing easier hit confirms, and I can't do it. I literally can't do it. Like, I can't even hit confirm single button links into a different button. So if I do standing strong and on hit I want to do crouch strong, but on block I want to do crouching medium kick. Like, that's literally a link. You have a bigger window, and I can't learn that. And it's not even the age, Sora, although a little bit of it is, but even a long time ago, I've never been able to do that. You know? Yeah, exactly. Reaction is infinitely harder than memorization. Doing combos is more about memorization than anything. The problem with a lot of people, how they perceive execution, is that they think that execution is some sort of crazy dexterity thing. But the thing is, all of execution is science. It's just like the same thing. It's just science. The way that I learn how to do combos is completely 100% science. Has nothing to do with some sort of dexterity, because I can tell you right now, I have no dexterity. I have no dexterity. So, but yeah, I mean, David, you also have a particular case, right? You have a very, very special situation, well, unspecial situation. You actually have a nerve problem, right? So that's tough. So yeah, so reactions are a little bit easier to learn for you, but I think your case is very unique. I don't think that that's the case for most people. You know, I think honestly for the majority, learning combos is going to be way easier than learning reaction time. And because, like I said, I asked Punk. I literally asked him in an interview one time. I was like, how do you have that reaction? How do you hit confirm that so well? Do you practice it? And he said, no. He doesn't even practice. He's just been doing it. It's just natural to him. So, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, David. That makes a lot of sense. Advocating to not take away things from people that they like. Absolutely. That is a strong argument to not take it away. And if you said that, then I would be like, yeah, you're probably right. I wouldn't get rid of it. But then I would lower the damage on it. I would lower the damage on it, probably. Like, maybe make EX Tenko just do generally a little bit less damage because it leads to combos. Do the regular Tenko and stuff like that. Yeah. So, again, one of the philosophies that I have mentioned to David a lot of time is change the result, but don't change what's possible. So he's absolutely right there. Changing her cancel window goes against that. The only thing about the cancel window, like I said, that frustrates me is just that I feel like it wasn't meant to be that way. I feel like the game was not designed to have single hit confirm stuff like that, and I feel like it's a very exclusionary skill. So that if you want to maximize Karin, if you can do it, you can. If you can't, I don't know if you ever will get to that point. Perhaps it is learnable, but in my experience so far, I haven't been able to learn it. I cannot do it. Like, learning to react and hit confirm in a 17 frame window is like super frustrating for me. It's like super annoying, and like no matter how much I practice it, I can't seem to get it to work. I don't know. But yeah, like I feel like having good reactions is actually more a natural like thing that you're innately born with than execution with combos. Like, I've always sworn that anybody who, obviously, you know, not trying to talk down about anybody or anything, who doesn't have a physical condition that prevents them from doing execution, I think I could teach anybody how to be good at execution if you just like sat down with me. And like I said, the only reason why I'm good at combos is only just because of, you know, mostly through one, just having good rhythm, and that comes, you know, you can learn that through music. That is definitely a learnable thing. And two, because I understand why combos work and I understand why combos drop. Oftentimes when I teach people combos, I'm always like, you have to think of it like this, and the reason why this combo drops here and you're not messing up this part, the reason why this combo doesn't work is because before that you're mistiming this, and that affects that, and then you can teach people these things. It's almost never has to do with like sort of some sort of magic talent with your hands, because like I said, I'm not good with my hands. I'm not a very dexterous person. I'm clumsy as can be, but I can do combos because I study game systems. I understand cancel window and I understand timing. It's basically all it is. So, but that's kind of how I feel about that. So, it'd be interesting to try. Oh yeah, no problem. See you later. See you later. Yeah, perhaps Sean Cass. I've actually asked that in my stream before. I've actually asked. I was like, how do you learn reaction? Like, is there any sort of like literal training programs that can help you learn reaction? Because I really need that. I really, really need that. Because my reactions are ass, right? Like, my reactions are really bad. And I need to figure out why, and I can't figure that out. I don't know. I've tried so many things to improve my reactions, and I haven't been able to find a way to do it. Yeah, I know, right? But like I said, I just asked him where he got his reactions from. He's like, I don't know. I was like, do you practice? He's like, no. I've never really played sports before, Ice. No, I did not. I did not play a lot of sports. So, yeah, and that's the thing. So that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I don't like the Karin cancel window, is because I feel like that is more exclusionary to just certain people. Whereas I really do believe if you gave me time, I could teach anybody how to do any combo. And it's really not that bad. I don't think it's that bad, so. The Rude Boy. I mean, you could actually sort of option select punishing Scorpion, actually. You could actually option select it. I can do it as well. I can punish that one as well. But you also have a giant window. It's a giant window of where you can punish it and stuff. In fact, if you actually look at my only video in the string theory series that I did for MK11 for Scorpion, I actually have a whole section of punishing pre-patch Scorpion teleport. So